even raised the possibility of a Hezbollah link to the September 11th terror attacks. Specifically, Hezbollah may have helped facilitate the travels of the al-Qaeda hijackers. The report stated bluntly that Hezbollah's involvement in 9/11, quote, requires further investigation by the U.S. government. Since 9/11, Hezbollah has had a hand in killing even more Americans in Iraq. U.S. intelligence sources say it's trained the Mahdi Army, the Iraqi Shiite militia led by Muqtada al-Sadr. Hezbollah has never, however, been accused of orchestrating any attacks on American soil. But the shocking fact is that Hezbollah agents have been operating inside the U.S. for over a decade. That's what was happening right here in North Carolina when one alert off-duty police officer noticed something strange going on. Among North Carolina's tobacco fields, about 45 miles outside Charlotte, in rural Iredell County off Interstate 77, sits a nondescript strip mall. JR Tobacco Wholesalers, cigarette heaven for travelers who come from miles away to stock up on cheap smokes. In 1995, Bob Fromey, then an Iredell deputy sheriff, was moonlighting as a security guard in the store.
You were dressed in uniform?
I was dressed in uniform just like that.
He was hired to deter shoplifters, but what caught Fromey's attention one day in 1995 was 4 men buying large quantities of cigarettes and paying with wads of cash.
I saw them come in and they would have a Walmart bag, plastic shopping bag with 20...
Could you tell there was cash in
Oh,
the
you
bag?
could see it. You could see it in there. It was wrapped in rubber bands.
The next day, they were back, and the next day, too.
My first thought when I saw them with this volume of cash was, these are dopers, and they're laundering drug money.
Fromey's curiosity was further sparked by the strange quantities of cigarettes they were buying.
One person would get 299 cartons, another person would pay for it.
Why is 299 an important number?
The Jenkins Act. They were structuring the purchases.
The Jenkins Act is a federal law requiring paperwork be filed for purchases of 300 cartons or more. By buying just under the limit, the men got around that requirement and kept below the radar. They kept coming back, and day in, day out, Fromey kept his eye on them.
Got next to him one day in the store just because I wanted to hear him talking and discovered they were speaking in Arabic. And so that put a whole new different spin on it.
Fromey would only learn years later that he had stumbled upon a gang of Middle Eastern criminals with ties to one of the world's most notorious terror groups, Hezbollah. At the time, he just wanted to know what the suspicious group was up to. So Fromey reached out to the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
I called a friend of mine with ATF, and he says, well, this is what you got. They're dealing in contraband cigarettes.
It was a simple yet lucrative scam. We'll show just how lucrative next. But essentially, they were buying cigarettes cheap in a low-tax state, reselling them in a high-tax state, and pocketing the difference. And as you'll see, the gang's purchases at JR Tobacco were just the tip of an extensive and brazen multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise. And over the next 7 years would take U.S. anti-terror investigators in an operation codenamed Smokescreen way beyond rural North Carolina. It would also take a Fox News investigative unit across the country.
I'll be suing if you put me on camera.
North of the border. The U.S. government says you're related to terrorist organizations. And halfway around the world.
Did you ever collect any money for Hezbollah?
All of this coming up next.
The captioning for this program is brought to you by...
Embarrassed by rough, dry, cracked heels? Flexitol Heel Balm has a unique formulation that intensively hydrates and moisturizes feet, leaving them wonderfully soft and healthy. Flexitol, it works.
Superior hold combined with fresh breath in Fix It and Control plus Scope Flavor.
So, you got that free checking account from Regions?
Yep.
What if you win the $1 million?
Well, we'll buy those window treatments for the guest bedroom, and then we'd buy that 7-piece dinette set with the matching baker's rack.
And I would totally score the original captain's chair from Space Quest 2. It would be great.
Open a Regents free checking account, and you could win one of our weekly $10,000 prizes and have a chance to win $1 million.
Hey, Vicky. Everyone look that way.
Pew, pew.
Every day, Lexmark printers go to work for some of the world's most important companies. In fact, 75% of the top banks, retailers, and pharmacies use Lexmark. And now, that same performance can work for your home, too. Introducing Lexmark's new All-in-One. With professional features and a protection guarantee that includes next business day replacement, Lexmark is ready to go to work for you.
When something really fits, you can feel it. Like the fit you get with C-Bond denture adhesive. It's the only wafer that has a gasket effect that locks dentures in place, gives you all-over coverage, all-over hold. No mess, no ooze.
When your dentures really fit, you can feel it.
The adhesive wafer with the gasket fit. C-Bond.
Harry is a scratcher who keeps getting scratched. He needs the clear solution to a healthier scalp. Maximum Strength Scalpicin with vitamin E. Not a shampoo. Scalpicin stops unhealthy scratching that can cause scalp damage with the itch medicine dermatologists recommend. Ah, the all-day confidence of an itch-free scalp. Scalpicin, the clear solution to a healthier scalp.
The hottest topics.
What's at stake in this election?
The biggest newsmakers.
Why didn't we finish the job in Afghanistan?
The inside scoop on Washington.
You brought this up, so you get an answer.
Nothing gets by Chris Wallace.
Join me on Fox News Sunday.
Tonight, these lucky lotto winners turned their home into a house of booze, drugs, and wild sex. Now their 4-month bender is about to go bust.
After 52 complaints, enough is enough.
Has their luck just run out? Geraldo has the outrageous story tonight.
This hour, you've seen how an alert off-duty deputy sheriff spotted a brazen cigarette smuggling scam here in rural North Carolina. The suspects, a group of men who spoke Arabic among themselves. That deputy sheriff, Bob Fromey, stayed on the case. In fact, he got the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms to open up an investigation and bring him aboard. He'd soon uncover criminal enterprises more widespread than he ever imagined. You're watching a criminal enterprise in action. These men are moving cigarettes, Newports, Salems, Cools, Marlboros. They'll smuggle them out of state and resell them at a huge profit. Their scam followed by investigators who set up hidden cameras at this storage facility and a JR Tobacco outlet where they bought the smokes.
One camera was pointed actually on the back side of that pillar.
In 1996, investigator Bob Fromey, recently deputized by the ATF, was monitoring their movements.
We had another camera that was pointed right there at the corner where we could get the facial features so we could ID them.
It took no time for investigators to ID the ringleader, Mohammed Hamoud, the confident 22-year-old. Working with him were his older brothers Bassam and Chaki, and his 3 cousins, Mohammed, Ali Fayez, and Ali Hussein Darwish. Another member of the group was financial wheeler-dealer Saeed Hart. An expert at identity theft, he showed the others how to pass bad checks and use stolen credit cards to finance the purchases. All had been in the U.S. for years, and all came from the same Shiite Muslim neighborhood of Beirut, Bourget al-Barjaneh, a hotbed of Hezbollah support. How did they get here? Ringleader Mohammed, for one, entered the U.S. in 1992 at the age of 18 on a forged tourist visa. He demanded political asylum, claiming that he was being persecuted by an Islamic militia group. He was refused but appealed. 2 years later, while his appeal was running out, he married U.S. citizen Sabina Edwards. The INS ruled that marriage was a sham and they split up. He married again in 1997 to Jessica Weddle. While still married to Weddle, he took a second wife, Angie Chumas, a Charlotte native who was also married at the time. The third time was a charm for Mohammed, who got his green card. Months after Angie and Mohammed's marriage, they got around to divorcing their other spouses. Angie became, in effect, the chief financial officer of the growing cigarette smuggling enterprise in what had become a diversified, multi-million-dollar criminal organization.
They were a very close-knit organization. They knew how to schmooze the cash register girls. They knew how to deal with the people in the organization at JR's.
Each member worked their own deals, but joined forces to make the cigarette buys and move the contraband.
Most of the times, they would leave at night, so the people at the toll plazas couldn't see what was in the vans.
Up Highway I-77 through Virginia and beyond, the routes varied, but the destination was always the same, metropolitan Detroit. It's known for having one of the largest Shia Muslim populations outside the Middle East, but then it was also known for its cigarette taxes. In the 1990s, Michigan imposed one of the highest cigarette taxes in the country, a hefty $7.50 tax on every carton sold. North Carolina's 50-cent tax was one of the country's smallest. That $7 profit was enough to motivate Mohammed Hamoud, who'd heard about the scheme through some of his friends here in the Detroit area.
They had store owners that were in the community up there, and they made business arrangements with them.
One of their regulars was Sam Sharu, who owns this convenience store in Detroit. David Asman from Fox News. Is Sam Sharu around? He's not here now? So we went back a second time, and that's when he appeared.
So guys, you're gonna cut that out. You called me 20 times and I told you I'm not interested. I already paid my debt to society. Don't be putting me on camera, because I'll be suing if you put me on camera.
Is there any way we could talk to you?
No, you don't want to talk to me, guys.
U.S. court records, however, have a lot to say about him. They show that Sharu bought at least $198,000 worth of illegal cigarettes from the Charlotte gang. By 1996, cigarette smuggling was a huge moneymaker for the group. Some days they'd send up to 3 truckloads to Detroit, each load carrying about $13,000 worth of contraband cigarettes. In total, they raked in almost $8 million, a quarter of that pure profit. But this was just the tip of the iceberg. As cigarette smuggling money poured in, they plowed that into other illegal scams. Mohammed's new wife, Angie, took the lead.
Very, very shrewd business lady. She was the one that really had the business brains.
She and Mohammed set up several front companies, places like Queen and Eastway Tobacco, which Mohammed's brother Chalky ran, to move more cigarettes and launder funds. All the while, the ATF was watching. Here, Chalky is caught on tape by an ATF informant.
$8.25?
Yeah.
That's a good price.
Okay.
You can't do better on Argento? I'm paying 12 and a quarter now, but I mean, you know. Can you do 12 and a quarter?
12 and a quarter, no problem.
Okay.
The gang also used dirty money to buy legitimate businesses as well, like Cedarland Lebanese Restaurant. Mohammed and Angie used that money to finance construction of this BP gas station. They did so by asking Detroit Mini-Mart owner Sam Sharu to help get them a mortgage after Angie applied for a small business loan.
They got money sent to them to create a fictitious bank account, and they used that as one of their collateral lines of credit.
The woman that's in charge of the operation, with Middle East connections, suspicions being raised, still got a $1.7 million loan from the Small Business Administration.
Yes.
Financial wizard Saeed Harb's separate enterprises grew too. He started an internet porn site and built a lucrative business of buying IDs off of Middle Eastern students, then maxing out credit cards he opened in their names. Meanwhile, they continued to dupe the INS. Some paid for bogus marriages. 2 of the sham brides were these women, who once lived together. Others bribed INS officials. With the money flowing in and Mohammed's immigration status secured, Mohammed and Angie settled in this house in a suburban neighborhood. It's since been sold. Meanwhile, the Charlotte cigarette smuggling ring was going full throttle, even though the cops would occasionally throw up an intercept and seize cigarette shipments worth tens of thousands of dollars.
And what would happen?
Basically, very little. They'd seize the load, the person would go ahead and pay the fine, and they'd be on their way.
So it's like a traffic ticket.
Exactly, yeah.
The gang made it even harder for the cops by hiring female drivers, installing baby seats, and strapping bicycles to the vehicles as camouflage.
Did you ever get a sense that any of these characters knew you guys were watching?
One of those times, Hamoud, who was driving a rental van, looked directly at the camera up on the side of a building, got a piece of newspaper, went back and covered up the front license plate on the van.
So he knew that he was being watched?
Yes. Especially if they get...
By the spring of 1999, the investigation Fromey began 3 years before was ready for veteran federal prosecutor Ken Bell. Bell knew he'd have trouble finding a North Carolina jury to convict.
North Carolina is a fairly tobacco-friendly state. It's got low taxes for a reason. I thought that it would have a better chance of success being prosecuted in Michigan.
Then Bell got a visit from the FBI that changed everything.
And we put up pictures, and the whole room went quiet.
And later...
This is what really hurt me the most. Our life was so cheap to them like this.
That coming up next.
We've got all your politics, whether it's Republicans or Democrats. We've got you covered all the way to the White House. We report. You decide.
Right now, stay at any Best Western hotel and earn double points or double miles with our free loyalty program, Gold Crown Club International. And AAA members earn triple rewards. Now through April 13th. Join today at bestwestern.com.
We gotta help him! Look! There he is! We saw your SOS!
SUS, stirring up singles.
Kool-Aid singles!
You make it yourself. Grab a glass.
Kool-Aid singles! They're fast in a glass or a bottle.
Oh, yeah!
My clothes didn't fit.
Ear infection? Double. Wasn't it double ear infection? She bumped her head.
I couldn't sleep. I typed in anxiety.
I typed in depression.
Diabetes. Sexual health.
WebMD has information that used to be scattered in millions of places.
All in one place.
Organized information.
Medically reviewed. So we trust it.
I don't need millions of answers.
Just one good one.
More than 30 million people come to WebMD every month. WebMD. Better information, better health.
Are you like me? I have high blood pressure and I have high cholesterol. Sometimes problems come in twos, but sometimes help can come in one. Catawit.
Catawit contains the leading branded blood pressure medicine Norvasc and Lipitor, the leading branded cholesterol medicine combined in one pill, Catawit.
Catawit is one of many treatment options I discussed with my doctor. Ask your doctor if Catawit's right for you. Along with diet and exercise, one pill doing two jobs for me. My doctor said Catawit's not for everyone. It's not for people with liver problems and women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. To check for liver problems, you need simple blood tests. Tell your doctor about any heart problems and all other medications you are taking, or if you experience muscle pain or weakness, as they may be a sign of a rare but serious side effect. For blood pressure and cholesterol lowering benefits, it's Catawit. One pill, two medicines. Makes sense to you, makes sense to me. Ask your doctor if Catawit's right for you.
Charter digital cable.
Charter high-speed internet.
Charter telephone.
Sports, movies, premium channels, crystal clear picture and sound.
Super fast internet speeds, plus the features that I need.
Unlimited local and long-distance calling in the U.S. and Canada on one simple plan.
You bundle, you save, and you get it all.
And if he's happy, you know I'm happy.
I am set.
Get all three services for only $119.97 per month. Call today.
Saving money is fun. 48 hours of savings? Now that's a whole lot of fun. It's time to drop everything because everything is on sale during Furniture Row Outlet's 48-hour sale. Every item of furniture, every sofa, room group, dining table, chair, bedroom grouping, everything is on sale for 48 hours only. Plus, we're offering no payments and no interest for 1 year. We're holding nothing back. Everything is marked down for Furniture Row's 48-hour sale. Hurry, sale ends Tuesday at 9 p.m.
So far, you've heard of the Charlotte cigarette smuggling investigation conducted by the ATF. Well, what the ATF didn't know was that across town, the FBI was also tracking ringleader Mohammed Hammoud and his partners in crime. In 1997, these two investigations intersected dramatically because the man leading the FBI probe had a lot more in mind than just busting cigarette smugglers. Supervisory Special Agent Bob Clifford had first come across the Charlotte gang years before when he served in Washington as head of Hezbollah operations at the FBI's Global Terrorism Unit.
As I was reviewing all the cases throughout the United States that the FBI was involved in, I noticed a few individuals under investigation of all places in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Clifford suspected Hezbollah specifically picked Charlotte to set up a cell far from the eyes of U.S. law enforcement.
They found what I call a no man's land.
He wanted to move against the suspected cell, but he says his colleagues literally laughed at the notion that Hezbollah was operating in the U.S. But in 1997, Clifford received a routine transfer to Charlotte, where he would have the authority to launch an investigation.
Was it just a coincidence that a man who was so familiar with Hezbollah's operation happened to arrive in Charlotte, where Hezbollah had set up a cell?
Coincidence or good fortune, divine providence?
As we told you, in the spring of 1999, U.S. Prosecutor Ken Bell was about to transfer the ATF's cigarette smuggling case to Michigan. That's when Bell found Bob Clifford at his door with a video slideshow presentation in his hand.
And we put up the pictures, and the whole room went quiet.
Up on the screen were the members of the cigarette smuggling ring. The message to Ken Bell was clear.
Gentlemen, you have a Hezbollah cell in Charlotte.
What did you think?
I thought, cool.
He also knew this case was not ready to go to court. His cigarette smuggling case had turned into what would be an unprecedented prosecution of a major international terrorist organization's fundraising cell. And Clifford says, perhaps even worse than that.
Many members of the Charlotte cell were Hezbollah combatants, Hezbollah operatives in Lebanon. And they didn't stop being that when they were in North Carolina.
They would go out to a range east of Charlotte and practice marksmanship and tactics. Several of the cell members have been trained by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps.
Special Agent Rick Schwein went undercover to track the cell.
They got together weekly. They had a traditional Shia prayer service, and then the talk turned to Hezbollah.
Schwein learned Angie and Mohammed held weekly meetings in this quiet Charlotte suburb. They played videos of Hezbollah's attacks on Israel and sang songs about the, quote, resistance.
And Mohammed Hammoud would give fiery speeches, and he would ask for donations.
Investigators obtained documents and letters indicating the cell was sending money to high-ranking Hezbollah figures in Lebanon, including spiritual leader Sheikh Mohammed Hussein Fadlallah and reputed military leader Sheikh Abbas Harakeh. Wiretaps and other evidence showed Mohammed may have had contact with the top of Hezbollah leadership and met the group's Lebanese leader, Hassan Nasrallah.
We did find photos of him taken with Nasrallah, and there was a lot of information developed during the course of the investigation that he had access to Nasrallah.
But what worried the FBI more than the guns and the fundraising in Charlotte was what they suspected was happening some 2,300 miles away, right here in Vancouver, British Columbia.
It turns out that Canadian intelligence services had monitored two trips Charlotte gang member Saeed Harb had taken to Vancouver in the late 1990s. One of Harb's childhood friends from Lebanon, a man named Mohammed Dabouk, was living in Canada. He was working to supply Hezbollah with night vision goggles, laser rangefinders, GPS systems similar to these, and other equipment that could be used in warfare.
Dabouk ran into some funding problems, and he sought out his old friend Saeed Harb to try to fix that. And one of the mechanisms they were using was credit card fraud in order to pay for the dual-use equipment.
The Canadian Intelligence Service tapped their phones and took surveillance photos of their buys. Here, Harb is seen handing over fake credit cards to Ali Amhaz, who helped Dabouk call around to suppliers to locate equipment.
One place they called was this business in the southwest section of Vancouver. It's a store that specializes in surveyor's supplies. Ali Amhaz called to ask if they had global positioning systems. Mohammed Dabouk called to ask if they had equipment to, quote, blow up rocks.
At the time, Canada had no laws on the books preventing the supply of money or materials to terrorist organizations. Nevertheless, Canadian intelligence was tracking Dabouk and wanted to find out more about the Charlotte connection.
On March 23rd of 1999, I received a wire intercept from the Canadian Intelligence Service.
That was how the FBI learned about a link between Harb and the Hezbollah suppliers in Canada.
That was the information we needed to show that this cell was an agent of a foreign power, Hezbollah.
Finally, in 2000, Clifford decided the Charlotte group needed to be stopped.
In my opinion, it presented an immediate threat to the United States. We had to stop it. And so the order was given. Let's plan. We're going to take them down.
At precisely 6 a.m. on July 19, 2000, 250 gun-wielding federal and local law enforcement agents swooped down on more than a dozen separate locations.
No shots fired?
No shots fired.
From the houses, agents collected guns, militant Islamic literature, videotapes, and other documents. Including the core Charlotte gang, 18 others would ultimately be indicted. Charges included conspiracy to launder money, trafficking contraband cigarettes, immigration violations, attempted bribery, and most importantly, providing material support to a terror organization. Though 5 years of investigations by the ATF and FBI produced mountains of evidence, Bell was concerned it'd be the first time the material support charge would be tried in court. And it came at a time when few Americans thought about terrorism threats. 9 months later, al-Qaeda operatives flew hijacked planes into the Pentagon and the World Trade Center and changed everything. But would it make a jury too eager to convict?
So you think the jury was prejudiced because of 9/11?
And later, the U.S. government says you were related to terrorist organizations. That coming next after the break.
Mr. Bloom, you're a homeowner. Don't worry about a thing. Thank you.
Adjustable rates come at you fast. Get a low fixed rate home loan from Ditech. Call 1-800-71-FIX today. Ditech, a GMAC company.
Outside the monastery, civilization has lost its way. Degenerate, inhuman behavior stalks the land. It is truly an age of darkness. The Dark Ages. Check your local listings on the History Channel.
Could you turn that TV down, please?
Do you sometimes disturb others when you watch TV?
Oh, just a minute. Does that have to be so loud?
Tired of people asking you to turn the volume down? Now there's Listen Up, the personal sound amplifier that lets you turn the volume up for yourself without turning the volume up for everyone else. It turns ordinary hearing into extraordinary hearing. Look, it's smaller than a credit card, yet so powerful, you can hear a pin drop from across the room or listen in on a conversation from up to 100 feet away.
Have you met the new neighbors? I haven't. I met him. He seems nice.
Just insert the earphones and adjust the volume. It's that easy. Now you can enjoy TV programs even late at night or listen to your favorite music without disturbing anyone. Ever wonder what people are talking about across the room? Now with Listen Up, you can discreetly listen in.
He's in good shape, doesn't he? He's pretty cute.
Use Listen Up at sporting events and you'll hear all the action.
35-17. Ready? Break.
Or listen in on the quiet sounds of nature. With this handy device, you'll never miss another word at lectures, movies, shows, or even church. And it's a great way to keep an ear on the children when they're out of range.
Hey, wait for me!
Ideal for the outdoorsman, too, because it lets you hear the wildlife before it hears you. Other sound amplifiers sell for up to $100. But call now and you can get Listen Up for only $14.99. With Listen Up, you can enjoy TV programs or listen to your favorite music without disturbing anyone. That's right, you get the Listen Up personal sound amplifier for the incredible price of just $14.99. This offer is not available in stores, so call now.
To order Listen Up, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-401-9715. That's 1-800-401-9715. Call now and get Listen Up for only $14.99. This offer is not available in any store. So call 1-800-401-9715. That's 1-800-401-9715.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julie Banderas. In Michigan, the search is over. Stephen Grant, the man accused of murdering, then mutilating his wife, has been captured. Police found Grant more than 200 miles away from his home in suburban Detroit. They say he was out in the snow with no jacket and no shoes. This is video of Grant being taken into custody early this morning, a cold morning. He's considered the chief suspect in the death of his wife, Tara Lynn. Police are now saying they found part of her dismembered body inside her garage. Her husband is now in the hospital being treated for hypothermia. It's one of the most dangerous places in the city of Baghdad, and today American forces surged in. Our troops going house to house in the Shiite stronghold known as Sadr City. Sadr City is controlled by militias that answer to anti-American cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, but he has reportedly ordered his men not to provoke our soldiers. To Afghanistan now, where U.S. Marines become targets of an ambush, a homicide bomber plowing his car into a coalition convoy just moments before militants sprayed the vehicles with bullets from 3 directions. The Marines returned fire. As many as 10 civilians are dead, dozens more hurt. The military saying it's investigating the incident. And when it comes to its nuclear showdown with the West, Iran is about to put its money where the mouth is. Iranian media are reporting that the government will issue a new bank note later this month bearing an atomic symbol showing electrons orbiting a nucleus. And coming up on the big story at the top of the hour, his comments after the 9/11 attacks got him fired from ABC. Now Bill Maher is at it again, and you may not have heard what he had to say about the attempt on the vice president's life in Afghanistan, but you will, and his words may shock you. Smokescreen Hezbollah in America continues right here, right now, only on Fox.
Welcome back to this Fox News investigation, Smokescreen, Hezbollah Inside America. Now, we've told you about the hundreds of Americans Hezbollah has murdered abroad. A little later, we'll explain why U.S. intelligence agencies think the Iranian-backed terror group is right now redoubling its efforts to kill even more Americans. But first, we return to the story of a Hezbollah cell right here in North Carolina, and how a local deputy sheriff, the ATF, and the FBI worked for years to build a case against its members. For the first time, the government would bring charges under a new federal law that made it a crime to provide support to a terrorist organization. It'd be up to federal prosecutor Ken Bell to make those charges stick. Had you ever tried a terrorism case before?
Nobody had. Not a terrorism financing case.
Bell went after the small fish first, offering them plea bargains in order to catch the biggest fish of all, Mohammed Hammoud, the cell's ringleader. He flipped Mohammed's American wife, Angie Chumas, the business-savvy financial mastermind. She agreed to testify against Mohammed and his brother Chalky. Chalky pleaded guilty to immigration charges, but innocent to cigarette smuggling and conspiracy. He would stand trial alongside Mohammed, who faced an indictment that included not just charges related to smuggling and scams, but the more serious offense of supply and support for a terrorist organization. To win a conviction on that count, Bell desperately wanted the cooperation of Saeed Harb. Harb was the financial scam artist caught by the Canadian surveillance photos, helping procure military-style equipment for Hezbollah. In other words, Harb was a direct link between the Charlotte cell and acts of material support for a terrorist organization.
Saeed Harb was sort of the icing on the cake.
To try to get Harb to flip, Bell confronted him with the Canadian evidence. But it turned out that Hezbollah in faraway Lebanon was squeezing its man too.
Two relatives of Harb's were picked up on successive days by Hezbollah, taken to Hezbollah headquarters where they were grilled for hours and hours.
Harb wanted a guarantee that his family would be safe. So the U.S. quietly spirited 12 of Harb's relatives out of Lebanon to the U.S.
What happens then?
He enters his guilty plea to the material support charges and cooperates with us fully and gives us the last step that we needed to bring the material support charges against Mohammed Hammoud.
May 2002, the federal courthouse in Charlotte, North Carolina was on high alert. This would be the country's first post-9/11 terrorism trial. But that's not all. While in prison awaiting trial, federal authorities believe Mohammed had a plot to blow up the courthouse and shoot Bell in the head.
What'd you do about this threat?
Well, we took it seriously, obviously. Killing me would have little effect except to get the U.S. government seriously ginned up on the case.
The allegations were never proved, and Mohammed was never charged with those crimes. But the crimes he did stand accused of, money laundering, racketeering, cigarette smuggling, and material support to terrorists, were enough to put him away for a long time.
We knew we had a difficult case.
Deke Falls was Mohammed's court-appointed defense attorney.
Did he ever admit that he did anything wrong?
Well, I can't really say what he admitted to me. He entered a plea of not guilty, and by that plea, he contested all the allegations in the indictment against him.
In court, Falls argued that Mohammed was indeed a Hezbollah supporter, not for terrorist reasons, but only because Hezbollah provided extensive medical and social care among its followers in Lebanon.
Did he admire and respect Hezbollah? Absolutely.
Did he work with Hezbollah?
We did not believe there was a Hezbollah cell.
We had telephone conversations between him and Hezbollah figures talking about the ongoing workings of Hezbollah.
But Bell also presented to the jury, 12 men and women with a memory of 9/11 still fresh, a detailed accounting of Hezbollah's violent history worldwide, the bombings, the assassinations, the kidnappings, the murders. Then he played for the jury militant videotapes taken from Hammoud's house during the raid, like this of an Israeli convoy being blown up by Hezbollah bombers. And this one of Chalky and Mohammed's sister heard speaking to 3 young relatives. "Who are you?" she asked. Their response? Defense attorney Deke Falls says Bell's presentation went too far.
One of the jurors went back into the jury room and put a small American flag in the middle of the jury table.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with patriotism, but juries are instructed not to form an opinion until they've heard all the evidence, and this was in the middle of the trial.
And then the prosecutor's star witness, Saeed Harb, took the stand. He testified that Mohammed collected donations at the Thursday night meetings for Hezbollah. Harb said Mohammed asked him to hand carry $3,500 worth of checks back to Lebanon and deliver it to alleged Hezbollah military leader Sheikh Abbas Harakeh.
So he admitted it.
Yeah.
But the climax of the trial came when Mohammed Hammoud took the stand in his own defense.
You know, he always had an explanation. I mean, he was very smooth. He never lost his calm and demeanor.
Under 3 hours of intense questioning by Bell, Mohammed Hammoud depicted himself as a peace-loving immigrant seeking the American dream. He admitted he sent money back to folks in Lebanon, and yes, that included Hezbollah, because it was an organization which did much to help the poor.
At one point I started thinking, well, I'm not really rattling him here.
Then Bell held up this picture of Mohammed as a teenager and asked, "Is that part of your good works with Hezbollah there in your hand?" Mohammed said the picture meant nothing. He was just a kid showing off. But that image of Mohammed Hammoud with a gun may have stuck. On June 21st, 2002, after 3 days of deliberation, the jury found Mohammed guilty on all charges. Judge Graham Mullen gave him the maximum. The sentences added up to 155 years. As severe as 9/11 accomplice Zacarias Moussaoui, and even more than American Taliban fighter John Walker Lynn. To the FBI's Bob Clifford, who'd been tracking Hezbollah for more than a decade, it was a victory for America.
Mohammed Hammoud and the other individuals who were prosecuted and found guilty of terrorism are terrorists.
They got what they deserved.
They got what they deserved.
Or did they? This story is far from over, and you're about to meet the American lawyer who says he's going to set Mohammed Hammoud free.
Mohammed Hammoud was made a fall guy by an administration that was desperate to find boogeymen everywhere.
Hey, McMillan, you gelling?
I'm gelling and Zinfandelin, and so's my new bride, Helen McMillan.
I'm so happy my eyes are welling.
Dr. Scholl's massaging gel insoles are so soft, they make your feet feel outrageously comfortable.
I'm gelling. You're so not gelling.
Dr. Scholl's.
Somewhere between where you are and where you're going, there's a Super 8. See you along the way.
Denise Basic is a real Geico customer, not a paid celebrity. So to help tell her story, we hired a celebrity.
It was Thanksgiving night when I accidentally hit a deer.
Whoa, look out, look out!
I called Geico expecting to get a recording, but someone was there to help me.
Help me! Somebody help me!
Geico got my claim in the works right away, and I was actually able to enjoy my Thanksgiving.
Mashed potatoes, gravy, and cranberry sauce. Woo!
Geico. Real service, real savings.
I'm Ron Michaels, and this is my story. I've been playing since I was in 7th grade. That's what makes my life worthwhile. I have joint problems in my hands. It hurts when you try to go up and you pick up the horn, and you're trying to play, you move your fingers, and they're just not doing what you want. When I take a leave, it takes away all the pain I have. I can move it now, just like I was when I was young. I feel so good I can do something like this. A leave gives me my life back. That's what it does.
Every day, Lexmark printers go to work for some of the world's most important companies. In fact, 75% of the top banks, retailers, and pharmacies use Lexmark. And now, that same performance can work for your home, too. Introducing Lexmark's new All-in-One. With professional features and a protection guarantee that includes next business day replacement, Lexmark is ready to go to work for you.
It's not just about reaching your goals. It's about reaching your dreams, too. Now with HSBC Direct Online Savings, you'll earn 6% APY on new money. Until April 30th, your money will grow 11 times more than in traditional savings accounts. And you can get to your cash anytime. So you reach your goals sooner, and your dreams won't be far behind. to hsbcdirect.com for details and set up your account now.
The Hezbollah cell in Charlotte, North Carolina was uncovered years before 9/11. But by the time the case went to trial, nearly 3,000 people were dead in those terror attacks. 9/11 was fresh in the mind of every juror who voted to convict Charlotte ringleader Mohammed Hammoud. It was also in the mind of the federal judge who locked him up for 155 years. But today, 9/11 is a more distant memory. Many Americans have also soured on the war on terror. And now Mohammed's new attorney says he ought to be set free.
Mohammed Hammoud was made a fall guy by an administration that was desperate to find boogeymen everywhere.
Attorney Stanley Cohen has made a name for himself representing alleged Muslim terror suspects, including a Hamas leader and a suspect with ties to the U.S. embassy bombings in Africa.
Someone has to stand up and say, this is wrong. As a Jew, I come from a tradition where we were run down, hunted, murdered, criminalized because we were Jews. There are issues in this case that sicken me.
For starters, he says the money that Hammoud indisputably gave to Hezbollah did not go to terror.
The evidence in this case was not that Hammoud donated 1 penny for any act of terrorism or donated 1 penny to buy a gun.
Money is fungible.
No, it's
and an
changed
organization can say that part of the money is going just to hospitals and use some of that money to buy weapons.
Do you really believe that an organization that has thousands of missiles, that Israel and the United States said came from Iran and other countries in the Middle East, needed $3,500 from a tobacco fraud case in North Carolina?
Do a lot of people train in Iran, as one of Hammoud's brothers apparently did?
Does it surprise me that people were willing and anxious to go get military training to protect their communities? I'd be doing it. I'd be in Iran, I'd be in Iraq, I'd be anywhere, so would you.
But Cohen said the greater injustice in Mohammed's trial was when the jury was allowed to hear Hezbollah's long history of violence.
What did the bombing of the Marine barracks in 1982 or 83, whatever it was, what did that have to do with Hammoud? Nothing.
Cohen says, in the end, the Justice Department railroaded Mohammed Hammoud.
Everyone needed a poster boy. The Bush administration need to roll out the Attorney General and tell your family and my family you can sleep safer tonight because we've busted a terrorist. When in reality what they busted was a 25-year-old kid.
Federal prosecutor Ken Bell says that's nonsense.
We had a strong case. These guys were guilty of what they were charged with. And I think whether there was increased interest and concern about terrorism or not, those guys were going to be convicted.
But Cohen believes it's time to take a second look at the case. He'll soon get his chance. Due to a recent Supreme Court decision on sentencing guidelines, the federal judge who put Mohammed away will reconsider his 155-year sentence. And Fox News decided to take another look too. And so we traveled to the heart of Hezbollah country, Beirut, Lebanon. We arrived just a few months after the July war between Israel and Hezbollah.
Most Americans didn't know much about Lebanon until the war began last summer. But as the battles raged on, it became clear that southern Beirut was really the heart of Hezbollah.
Devastation was everywhere. The atmosphere still very tense. We got Stanley Cohen to arrange an interview with Mohammed's brother Chawki Hammoud. We met him and his mother in a secure Beirut hotel with our own security present.
Did it bother you that you were breaking the law?
We never, not me, not my brother, not anybody intended to hurt anybody in the U.S.
Chawki, you'll remember, stood trial alongside his brother Mohammed. He was convicted for his role in the cigarette smuggling conspiracy, served a little less than 4 years, and then was deported. This was the first time he'd spoken to the media about his criminal activities, which he insists had nothing to do with Hezbollah or terrorism.
Did you ever collect any money for Hezbollah?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all.
What about those Thursday night meetings that the U.S. government claims were terror strategy and fundraising sessions?
And this is what really hurt me the most.
When we asked Chawki, he got downright emotional. He insisted these were prayer meetings.
I felt they should be the government ashamed to talk about. This is religion. Maybe the judge didn't know. Maybe a lot of people didn't know. But they knew that.
And why does it upset you so much?
Because they knew that. Our life was so cheap to them like this.
Was it an act or genuine tears?
I mean, punish us for this. Deport us, say you came here, you broke the law, you don't deserve to live in the U.S. But to take our life like this and we protected under the law, under the Constitution.
Protected under the Constitution? One thing that's been clear since the beginning of this story is that the Charlotte cell certainly knew their rights and how to exploit legal loopholes, from marriage scams to knowing just how many cigarettes to buy.
I'm sure they went to school on how to avoid detection by law enforcement.
So what do they act like when there's no fear of prosecution? That's why we made that trip to Vancouver, Canada, to find out more about the Charlotte connection. We wanted to talk to Lebanese-born Ali Amhaz, shown in this surveillance photo with Saeed Harb. It was here, you'll remember, that the Canadian intelligence services uncovered both shopping for military-style equipment and sending it back to Hezbollah in Lebanon. At the time, this was illegal in the U.S., but not in Canada. And that may be just one of the reasons why Harb went here. It also meant that Amhaz, although indicted in the U.S., couldn't be extradited.
So Ali Amhaz remains a free man outside the reach of U.S. law. So we decided to pay him a visit.
We caught up with him in his driveway.
The U.S. government says you're related to terrorist organizations. You say no.
Well, the U.S. government, they can blame anybody for anything.
And what about the sending military-style equipment to Lebanon?
That's ridiculous. Like I said, they can say whatever they want.
Amhaz can say whatever he wants, too. Was he just blowing smoke? The FBI told us if he's ever caught in the U.S., he will be arrested and prosecuted. Coming up, Hezbollah inside America.
If given an order, I'm confident that Hezbollah would attack in this country.
What can we do about it? What should we do about it? Right after the break.
I smoked for forever. I can't count how many times I tried quitting.
I can't tell you the number of times I tried quitting.
Yeah, I worried about my health, but even that didn't help me quit.
I would start out strong, then my willpower would fade.
Now I know.
For me, smoking is more than a habit. Smoking is a nicotine addiction.
That's why I found it so hard to quit.
That's why it was so hard for me to quit.
The good news? Proven medical advances have been made in understanding nicotine addiction. For more information on how to quit smoking and how support can help, visit mytimetoquit.com or call 1-866-239-8729.
I didn't have to blame myself.
I know what kept stopping me.
For free information about a plan to quit smoking and to find out about a prescription treatment option, visit mytimetoquit.com or call 1-866-239-8729.
Now I understand.
I think about quitting in a whole different way.
I knew it was my time to quit.
I knew it was my time.
I knew it was my time to quit.
This time I did it.
Visit mytimetoquit.com or call now.
What should be difficult about talking on the phone? It works just like my old home phone service.
Simple.
Same phone equipment, same phone number.
I'm a huge fan of Simple.
Unlimited local and long distance on one simple plan.
If there were a Simple fan club, I would be president.
Even saving is simple.
That's right.
The bundle makes saving
simple.
Get Charter telephone for only $29.99 per month for 3 months. Call today.
Construction provides affordable new homes to buyers who never dreamed they could purchase a home. Many of our homes are sold to first-time buyers. At Ajo, we like to make dreams come true. Ajo Construction offers homes in several different styles and models, but all of our homes have one thing in common: superior quality at an affordable price. Buying a home is a big decision. That's why all of our employees are trained to help you work through all the details. At Ajo, you won't find commission-hungry salespeople trying to force you into a commitment. You will find helpful professionals who know just about everything there is to know about buying a new home. Call today to schedule an appointment or a tour.
Oh, you don't need me,
No, I
huh?
don't. I
Well,
don't.
forget this,
Yeah,
I'm
well,
leaving.
whatever.
Every deadline and your mistakes are costing me a fortune. I'll see you in court.
Wait, don't get involved in a long and costly court battle. Consider another option for resolving disputes: mediation. It's an alternative to the court process, is less costly, resolves disputes quickly. Mediation provides the communication to resolve disputes and create long-lasting agreements. Don't let dispute control your personal life or business. Call Para and Associates now.
Here at our clinic in the Queensgate Village, we treat the 7 dwarfs of menopause every day. Have you met them? Itchy, witchy, sweaty, sleepy, bloated, forgetful, and all dried up. Eliminate those menopause dwarfs. Get your hormones back to optimal levels naturally. Put the life back in your living. We offer bioidentical hormone therapy here in the Tri-Cities. Your first visit is free. Call today for your appointment, 628-3840.
The investigation and prosecution of the Charlotte cell has become a blueprint for fighting the war on terror inside the U.S. Some of the lessons learned may have even been absorbed into the Patriot Act. But the case's most important contribution may be that it exposed right here in America the tentacles of this insidious enemy, well versed in our laws and with the ability to adapt. That's at least the view of Bob Frome, the former off-duty deputy sheriff who followed a hunch in that cigarette store in North Carolina more than 10 years ago.
They're very smart. Yeah, they study us.
And they learn from their own mistakes.
Yes.
Bob Frome now travels the world as a defense consultant with the Harbinger Technologies Group.
You'll find that they're doing things different, but you're still going to find the criminal enterprises.
Terrorist organizations now are becoming decentralized. They're becoming self-sufficient.
Yes.
We have seen their ability to conduct covert operations to insert operatives into the United States.
What is our best way of attack? Because they clearly have declared war on us.
Hezbollah is very good, but we are better equipped. We are better organized, and just as Hezbollah, we believe in our mission.
But do we have the national will? In a way, the final chapter of this case, still to be written, could be a test of that. As we've said, a recent Supreme Court ruling has given federal judges more leeway in sentencing. And that's given defense attorney Stanley Cohen an opening to get back in court and plead for a reduction in Mohammed Hammoud's 155-year sentence. Cohen's argument is not without force. It's one that echoes the national debate America's now having about how far we should go to prevent terror attacks. Yes, Cohen admits Mohammed is a crook, but he was simply convicted of providing support to Hezbollah, not of committing or even plotting any terrorist attacks. Mohammed has served 6 years so far, and Cohen says enough is enough.
So do you want 76 months time served for your client, in which he'd probably be out, right?
Listen, that's basically what everyone else got in the case. 76 months, 80 months.
If Hammoud walks, he'll be sent right back to Lebanon. But would he leave behind the sense that he was no more than an ordinary criminal, and that there's little to worry about from Hezbollah inside America? The FBI's Bob Clifford says there's plenty to worry about.
If given an order, I'm confident that Hezbollah would conduct an attack in this country.
I don't think we can let our guard down. They want us either to submit and become Islam or kill us.
That simple.
It's that simple.
Mohammed Hammoud's resentencing will probably take place sometime this spring. Fox News is going to be watching the story very closely. We'll tell you exactly what happens every step of the way. For more about this story, log on to foxnews.com. While you're online, send me an email. I'd like to know what you think. The address is fncspecials@foxnews.com. And now, here's a look at another Fox News investigation.
An unprecedented security breach. The perpetrator, President Bill Clinton's national security advisor.
They saw Mr. Berger with what looked to be papers down his leg.
Top secret documents stolen.
I made an honest mistake.
That was a lie. Were there others? And did they put the nation at risk?
It's a very serious breach of security.
Fox News investigates the Sandy Berger case.
He was trying to erase history.
Coming soon on Fox.
I'm David Asman. For all of us at Fox News, so long for now.
Imagine growing tomatoes as big as grapefruits, 20 slices from a single tomato. Or how about 60 pounds of tomatoes from just one plant? Introducing the tree tomato from Gardener's Choice. It zooms to an amazing 8 feet or even taller in just 90 days. Be the first in your neighborhood to grow the largest, most delicious tomatoes ever. Your tree tomato will be loaded down with more tomatoes in just 1 week than most plants produce in an entire season. Think of it, starting just 90 days from today, 60 pounds of giant-sized tomatoes from just one single plant. Yes, baskets of tomatoes each and every week from summer until frost. Juicy red vine-ripened tomatoes, as big as grapefruits, weighing up to 2 pounds each. This lush 8-foot tree tomato is a virtual tomato factory with a new crop of farm-fresh tomatoes each and every week. Tree tomatoes come in easy-to-plant, pre-seeded professional nurserymen's packs. Watch it quickly grow to a towering 8-foot tomato-producing dream plant. Order now through the special Early Bird TV offer, and we'll send you not 1, not 2, but 3 tree tomato nursery packs for just $10. They'll produce up to 180 pounds of supersized tomatoes for less than a penny apiece. Call now and you'll also receive 3 of our Big Early hybrid tomatoes as our gift to you. Just pay shipping and handling. These Big Early tomatoes yield juicy, red-ripe jumbo tomatoes by the 4th of July. You get it all. 3 tree tomatoes and 3 Big Earlies. That's 6 easy-to-grow professional nurserymen starter packs for just $10. It's a tomato lover's dream, but you have to call now.
To order your tree tomato, call 1-800-859-6889. That's 1-800-859-6889. Order during this special TV offer and you'll receive 3 tree tomatoes plus 3 Big Earlies for just $10 plus shipping and handling. So don't delay. Call 1-800-859-6889. That's 1-800-859-6889. Call now.
So I'm here with George, and let me ask you this. Was it heavy lifting that beam?
Oh, yeah. It hurts sometimes.
I bet, man. It seems to be our lower back that ends up having all the pain. You ever just get stuck?
Oh, yeah. Been there a number of times.
So what do you do when you get stuck?
I take a bear and unstick it.
Upright is good.
Upright is very good.
Bear aspirin. Painkiller, lifesaver. Bear aspirin. Expect wonders.
Expect wonders.
Wait a minute, that's my line.
Relax, Max. Your nerves are just like jumping jacks, Max. Your heart is thumping with a crazy sound. Hear it pound. A bumping, 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 jumping up and down. Stay cool, fool. Just take it easy, that's the rule, fool.